Forgot my wallet. I gotta talk to my wife. I don't have the money. The time isn't right. Does this sound familiar? Have you ever had a salesperson talk your damn ear off for 5 minutes straight? Nobody likes that. When you're selling, people need to feel understood. The best way to make them feel that way is to genuinely care. If you truly care, you'll naturally ask the right questions in the right order. What's up, guys? My name is Eric Anthony Klima, and I've personally closed thousands of people on the phone and with in-person training. In addition to that, I'm the CEO of PT Legends, where we help personal trainers scale their business and close more deals. Today, we're diving into the 3 key strategies you need to close any sale effectively. So guys, these tips are straightforward, but incredibly powerful strategies that I've used to close thousands of clients in person and online. So let's dive into it, guys. So recently I was reviewing some of our sales team's calls, and it struck me that even the most knowledgeable, experienced salespeople can sometimes get sidetracked. One common issue, especially for business owners or those deeply involved in sales like you guys, is the temptation to teach rather than coach. Teaching during a sales call can be a huge mistake because clients won't listen until they decide to buy. Instead, coaching through strategic questioning is far more effective. And so when I was going over our sales team's calls, I remembered Alex Hormozi's training and how he simplified this framework. So although I was using these strategies before I even ever heard of Hormozi or before he became famous, like I've been using them for myself for sales for years, I really like the way that he communicated the framework for his trainings that he has on YouTube, because he does it so simply and easily. And I'm just saying that just to give credit where credit is due. So pretty much what we're going to go over are the only 3 types of statements that should come out of your mouth when you are selling, and extremely effective and efficient stuff. So the first most important tool in your sales toolkit is questions, but not just any questions. Specifically, we're talking about leading questions. Leading questions are designed to guide your prospect to realize on their own that they need your solution. For example, asking about their current challenges, what they've tried so far, and why those attempts have not worked. Approach helps them see the gaps and primes them for your solution. So we should always be asking leading questions that lead them to the conclusion that they should work with you to solve their problems. Step 2 is restate and confirm. This means basically echoing back what your prospects have told you to show that you're actually listening and to confirm you're understanding what they're saying. For example, say that you're on a call, right? And you're like, okay, John, so you're saying your main issue is X and you've tried Y without success. Is that accurate? So this technique reassures them that you're in tune with their needs, and it also builds trust. So what I'm hearing is, this is the primary issue you've been trying to solve. This is what you've done so far, and this is why it hasn't worked. Does that sound about right? That would be an example of a restatement. So you're listening to what they're saying, you're restating it, and you're just verifying that that is the problem that they're communicating to you. So notice how none of these things are declarative statements, as you can say, right? They're not declarative statements of fact. I'm not teaching them anything, which is the same reason people get in trouble when they do sales calls or when they try, and to pitch somebody. They try and teach, but the person has to have their beliefs broken to take action. You're not providing value in a real way, because the reality is they're not going to execute on anything you teach them on a call. They will only execute if they have their beliefs broken and believe that you can help them and that they can trust what you're trying to say. So hopefully you guys are following along. What I'm saying here is, if you're teaching someone on a call and they don't sign up, they're gonna leave that call with no value because they're not gonna do shit about their scenario. But if you coach them and change their beliefs and they make a decision to take action, you've now changed their life. And this was really hard for me to learn, because in the very beginning, when I first started my business, EA Fitness, I wanted to go in and get on the phone with people and say, no, your diet is all wrong. You got to follow these macros. Hormones are all out of whack. You've got to eat these types of food. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do X, Y, Z. And they would just take lots of notes. It would be like a free training session, right? And then by the end of the call, they're like, no, Eric, I'm not buying. So I thought I was giving all this value. I'm like, how can they say no when I'm giving all this value? And then they get to the end of the call and they're not even purchasing, and I'm thinking that I'm helping them on the call by giving them all these tips, these strategies, this value, and telling them the deepest, darkest, frameworks to lose to lose weight and telling them exactly what they needed to do, but I was not actually helping them because they didn't change anything after the call and they didn't purchase from me to implement these things. And I know this because I've had sales calls that I didn't close. I would follow up with them in a year's time and I'd be like, hey man, how are things going? I've actually gained weight, bro. Things got worse. How much is your service again, right? So I'm giving them all these tips on the call, basically teaching them, but they're not getting value because nothing's actually changed. They didn't take action. So I heard this from Alex Hormozi from the training that I talk about. Like I said, he puts this into really good perspective and context. He said, everyone gets benefits from breaking beliefs. Only 10% of people get benefits from tactics. So really try to think about that for a second. Everyone gets benefits from breaking beliefs, but only 10% of people benefit from tactics. So you're providing more value on the call by questioning their beliefs because you're servicing 100% of the people, providing value compared to trying to give tactical advice that only 1 out of 10 people may or may not use. So it's very likely the people who will use it are not gonna buy from you anyway. So either way, you're not benefiting your business and you're also not benefiting the prospects. That was a huge thing that I had to understand and try to break through with my own beliefs. So you might be wondering, well, if I'm only asking questions and restating things and trying to shatter their beliefs and reframe their beliefs, how do I actually close the deal? Which takes me to the next step. Step 3 is sharing relevant stories. So one of my favorite things to do on a call is to give them context by telling them a story of a client that's similar to them, which this is the final step, is storytelling. So once you've asked the right questions and you've confirmed their pain and you've asked questions like, why are you here? What's your struggle? Where are you at right now? What's the ultimate goal? What have you tried? You share a short, relevant story after gathering enough information, right? So the way that would look is like this. Okay, great. So this is what I'm hearing. I think this is why you haven't been successful. Would you agree with that, right? This is what I'm hearing. I think this is why you haven't been successful. Would you agree with that? Or does that make sense? Does that sound right? So what I'm hearing is you're struggling with nutrition and no matter what you've tried in the past, nothing seems to work because you lose the weight and gain it right back. And I think this is why you haven't been successful. Would you agree with that? So that's just a better example of the framework that we're using here. And then you would say, great, do you want to hear how I can help you overcome that and lose that 20, 30 pounds, right? So after you confirm what they say, you repeat it, you listen, you're gonna say, great, do you want to hear how I can help you overcome that and lose that 20 pounds? At that point, you'd enter the pitch. This is where you're going to explain how your program or your solution works and how it's going to get them to that dream goal. This is where most people go on long tangents and try to teach. They'll just talk and talk and talk and talk, trying to teach about how they have this amazing secret thing. In Russell Brunson's book, he calls it technobabble. You talk about trainerize the reps, epoch levels, the amount of workouts, check-ins, their hormones, sleep, the program, and you're trying to sell the product essentially. The truth is, they don't care or give two shits about your program, to be honest with you. All we have to do is tell a story that illustrates what they're going to experience as a result. So just think about it like taking a vacation. There's an airplane involved, there's a taxi involved, there's you being hungry, waking up at 5 a.m. That's the product. But American Airlines doesn't show you that. They show you the dream vacation, the palm trees, the beach, the hot girl, right? The partying, right? That's what they show you, the dream outcome. So we just need to clearly communicate the dream outcome, which would be for you guys, the 6-pack abs, the big booty, right? The Bahamas vacation, right? Sell the transformation, not the product. So as an example, just to bundle this all up, I'd say, listen, fundamentally, until you learn how to lose weight permanently with the right nutrition that you can stick to, you are never going to lose the weight. Earlier, you said the goal is that you want to get a 6-pack, you want to be able to burn the fat without the guesswork of what to eat and without going on a diet that leads to you losing weight and getting it all right back. Does that sound about right? They're gonna be like, yes, Eric. Okay, cool. Then do you see the most important part of getting that 6-pack is nutrition, exercise, and your habits? So what's most important is learning how to stick to it permanently and sustainably. We implemented this into our client Jeff's life, taught him how to enjoy his favorite foods while burning fat, and he stuck to it for the long haul because it was enjoyable and not some fad diets, and burned the fat, but also kept it all for good. Because what if you go back to that restricted diet again and you lose the weight and gain it right back? It happens all the time. Then what? You're never actually going to be free and permanently lose the weight, right? And have the 6-pack until you learn this, which means you have to confront this today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now, but you're gonna have to do it eventually. Does that make sense? Yes, Eric. Like, to give you the framework, that was like a real, example of what I'd say. But the framework example is I once worked with a client who had a similar issue. After implementing our solution, they saw remarkable improvements in just a few months. This makes your solution relatable and concretes it in, right? Giving actual context on what they're going to experience. So here I'm telling you a story to break a belief. I'm breaking through his beliefs, right? I'm not saying, let me show you how we're going to teach you how to lose weight by counting your macros, logging into this fancy app and blah, blah, blah. Instead, I'm saying we have to at least come to an agreement that you need to learn this skill. Does that sound fair? Yes. So the way that Alex Hormozi put it is, if they didn't understand, he would then use another analogy, like this is the difference between giving a man a fish and teaching a man how to fish. Right now, you need to learn how to fish for yourself for this to be sustainable for you, right? Okay. So Alex Hormozi puts it really good here. And he said, these are little analogies you've already pre-packaged, right? So you can paint these analogies in their head, vivid pictures. And I like to have like a bunch kind of saved up that I reuse and reuse and reuse. It might be like that fish one, right? But what he says is to have these little analogies that you've already pre-packaged. He said if he was, selling weight loss, for example, he'd say something along the lines of this. Fundamentally, you need fitness, nutrition, and accountability. You're going to have to come and work out. Do you agree that we need to work out and eat right? Yes. Why haven't you been working out so far? I don't know how. Fair enough. Is it also because you're not motivated? Yes, Eric. What's something you like doing? I like watching TV. Cool. What if working out was something that you could look forward to as much as or more than watching TV? Oh, that'd be great. So this is, again, the example Alex Hormozi gives. So if you like working out more than watching TV, which one do you think you would do? Oh, I'd probably work out. Our goal is not to get you to work out, but the goal is to get you to learn how to like working out more than watching TV. If we can accomplish that, we're going to solve this problem for good. Does that make sense? Yes. So now they have that light bulb moment, right? So notice that he told them they're going to have to work out. He did not talk about the new exercise selection, programming, ramping up volume, or any really fancy exercises, because it doesn't matter, right? We just have to come to an agreement that this is what we're going to do to solve the problem. So again, you should have multiple examples like this to really drive that point home into them, right? Into the prospect, okay? Especially if they don't understand what you're saying. These analogies can really paint that picture in your head. So we are coaching based on beliefs, guys. That's what a lot of this comes down to. Not explaining or technicalizing or using that techno babble about our program, because fundamentally it really does not matter. They don't care, nor will they listen. Not even paying attention most of the time. They're getting lost or thinking about their cats and dogs and who's liking their posts on Instagram at that point. If you go back to your recordings, right? If you guys ever record your sales calls, you'll actually see yourself and catch yourself doing this. You can see where they start to lose their attention during the call. And it's typically when the salesperson gets to the pitch and they talk for minutes on minutes on minutes straight, because no one cares. And I'm sure that you guys can probably resonate with this, right? I'm sure that you guys have been sold something in the past and you felt like the person isn't listening to you. And that just doesn't make you want to buy. So a common mistake is just overloading the prospect with tons of information. And remember, they don't need to understand every detail of your process. They need to just believe that you can solve their problem. So focus on breaking down their existing beliefs and building new ones that align with your solutions. Guys, I've been on thousands and thousands and thousands of sales calls in person and online with overweight people. And many times they truly just don't believe that they can do it, which is why they don't do it. It's not money. It's not their wife. It's not their husband. It's not their dog. It's not because they got a trip to Jamaica next week. Many times, like more times than not, it's truly believed because they have a belief barrier in them actually being able to do it. Because if you've been fat your whole life, or even if you've just been 20 pounds overweight and never had abs, it's really hard for you to believe that it's actually doable to reverse that for many people. I know, included myself. I never thought I'd have a six pack. Not that I have one now, but my six pack used to be shredded. And I really didn't believe it at first until I had someone kind of like break those beliefs and hold my hand through the process. So just think, if you ever had a salesperson like talk your ear off for 5 minutes straight, like nobody likes that. When you're selling, people need to feel understood. Let them sell themselves. And the best way to make them feel that way is to genuinely care. Just listen. And if you truly care, you'll naturally ask the right questions in the right order without even having a script. Believe it or not, if you truly care and you're just digging into what the true problem is to shift their belief barriers, you guys will be shocked how many more deals you close and how many more people are gassed up to join your program, like super excited. And I also notice that this leads to less churn as well. The sales scripts exist to mimic a conversation between someone who cares and someone who needs your help. The goal is to break down their current beliefs and guide them to that conclusion that they need your solution. So really focus on providing real value, and don't confuse value with tips and tricks. And that's whether they end up working with you, paying you or not. And really also try to detach your ego from your closing rates and focus just on helping people, right? Just focus on helping the person. This approach is going to naturally lead to more sales. It's not about showing off your expertise or how jacked and shredded you are. It's about understanding their needs, asking insightful questions, and restating their issues to show that you're listening. Only then do you share relevant stories to paint that picture of the outcome that you're going to give them. So this is a crucial rule, guys. Don't pitch your program until you're confident they'll say yes. Just like a lawyer only asks questions they know the answers to. You should only pitch when you believe the prospect is ready. If you sense they're not ready, keep asking questions and clarifying their needs. If a prospect isn't ready to be closed, you need to shift the dynamic. Ask challenging questions to break their current mindset. For example, it sounds like you have been stuck with losing weight. Is that right? They'll argue with you why they believe otherwise, which opens up the door for you to present your solution. Before pitching, make sure that they're already sold on working with you. Your script should be full of questions and clarifications, not paragraphs of information. Guide them to the point where they ask you, how do I move forward? That's what you want. You want them saying, hey man, how much is it? How do I move forward? I want in, right? Before you even get to the pitch. So I hope this makes sense, guys. Remember, be genuine, ask the right questions, and only pitch when they're ready.